It is Tuesday, July 2nd on the short work week for us. Hopefully it's a short work week for you. We couldn't say it yesterday. We can officially say it today since the news is out of the bag. Mike Brown has been named the new head coach of the New York Knicks. And our guy who was in New York was not named the new coach of the New York Knicks. The whole crew back in tow for us. Yes, TJ did not get the job, and yes, TJ did not have an interview for the job, but he is finally back with us from New York City, from the center to the right. Vegas Mac, what is going on this hump day?
Oh, man, not a whole lot going on. You know, getting some rain. It's kind of nice. Change it up a little bit. It was nice and cool last night, so that's always good, but, you know, it's going to be hot on the ice, isn't it, TJ? Hot on the ice today.
Oh, if it's anything like the 30th was, then it should be hot. But if it's anything like yesterday, then it might be the opposite.
Yeah.
As of the time that I am speaking right now, unless I have missed it, I still believe that Nick Ehlers does not have a job yet for next season. What the absolute?
You would be correct.
What the absolute hell? Plenty of stuff to get to today. Our last show of the week. We're going to take a little bit of time off for the 4th here. We'll have a couple of things popping out around our social channels at Mike Arana Show everywhere but Snapchat. TJ, why do we not use Snapchat?
Because Snapchat sucks and we're not 12.
Very much.
Oh, we're back.
We're going to have Mike versus Mac for the John Deere Classic a little bit later today. The Wiener King tomorrow. Dollar Dingers on 4th of July, because what goes better with MLB blackouts, hot dogs and beers than dollar dingers and Bangaliers? It's funny how that all works together. Saturday, TJ is going to kind of recap the free agency, his high points and low points. He'll do that all through next week for you as well. Mac will have his Mac Minute. I will pop my ugly face in wherever the hell I please because the name is on the marquee. Next week, we'll be back to normal Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday shows. Business as usual. Business as usual has continued in the National Basketball Association. The shocking news of yesterday that we got right before we came on the show was the move by the Milwaukee Bucks to waive and stretch Damian Lillard and then acquire Miles Turner. I think the best way you can kind of classify this, Mac, and we didn't get a chance to talk about this a lot yesterday, but the best way you can classify this is the Bucks mortgage the mortgage to try and buy another mortgage to hopefully not lose their mansion. And I don't know if they've done enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's from reports, it still seems that Giannis is not real happy. I guess it makes sense. I mean, it's a guy who, I mean, you and I talked about this off yesterday. You know, that's kind of why that stretch deal is there, you know, for exactly this reason. But you know, it does kind of, from a fan's perspective, it's kind of weird. It's kind of like, you know, here's this guy, he's got this injury, he's a, you know, good part of this team, and, you know, thanks but no thanks, we're going to let you go. I mean, there's that part of it. Damian seems pretty happy with it. From what I've read and it's been reported, it seems like he's at peace with it. It's something that he kind of wanted. He can go, he can kind of rehab, and he can kind of now pick his spot to go. So if he's happy, then I'm okay with it. I don't mind it, but it is kind of a weird move for the Bucks. It's going to become a weirder move though if it doesn't get Giannis to come back.
Yeah, Giannis's 3-year, $175 million extension, Tej. It starts this upcoming season. It's got a $62.8 million player option for 27 and 28. But if your teammates and the main core of your team are Bobby Portis, Gary Trent Jr., Kyle Kuzma, Kevin Porter Jr., Torian Prince, and Jericho Sims, even in the underwhelming NBA East this year, I think two things are at play here. Number one, Giannis knows this is probably a walk in the park MVP and probably a walk in the park higher seed in the East. But I think Giannis would also be smart enough, because he is a really smart guy. He's funny as hell, too, by the way, to realize that this team is probably not good enough to beat the 9th seed in the West.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. If you're Giannis right now, you are looking at, well, let's just say that you're probably going to be renting and not buying anything new anytime soon, because he's played this perfectly. He has played it perfectly. He's got the player option at the right time in the deal, where he can basically evaluate where his team is at for a year, and then he's going to know whether or not he's going to keep it for 27, 28 is the player option. Mm-hmm. He'll know by then whether or not he's going to exercise it. So this is a great move by Giannis. But yeah, what is Milwaukee's got? They've got to make moves, or they're going to be left holding the bag.
Yeah, and I think this is the interesting part of NBA free agency. I mean, not that you would be able to tell from the Golden State Warriors front office, which we'll get to in a little bit, but fit and best available are not exactly the same thing. And I think there's a lot of teams right now that kind of feel the pressure of we kind of need to make a move here. And I think in this next 12-hour window, we're going to see some guys get some contracts that are probably more panic moves than anything. I mean, there's two things at play here, and we've talked a little bit about this yesterday, Mac. In the West, if you don't have multiple centers right now, you're screwed, and the center market is drying up completely. And your favorite thing to talk about, Mac, size and depth.
Yeah. Hey, don't forget, DeAndre Ayton's still out there. So, I mean, you talk about a center that's out there for somebody for the taking. If that's the route that you want to go. Oh, wait a minute. I think the ice cream truck just went by.
So wait a minute. So is my 2-year-old kitten that has more aggression in the paint. So, I mean, it's one of those things that, like, I don't know. I don't get me started on Ayton. You're trying to trigger me early. It's too early in the show to do that.
Yeah, I know. And I'm going to bring in TJ. One of the things I talked about is how bad the East is kind of this year. And my proposal for the NBA this year is just to go to the top 16 teams. Your thoughts on that? Get rid of the East and Western Conference and just the top 16 teams make it.
Now he's trying to trigger you.
Love TJ. It. No, this is the greatest idea. The only thing that would make it better is expanding to 32 and bringing back Sonics, because look, the discrepancy in the talent in the conferences is almost as wide as it has been in the last 10 to 15 years. The bottom teams in the East barely play 500 basketball. And the bottom teams in the West have to win almost 50 games to get in. So it is absolutely unfair for teams in the West. We're talking like your Sacramento's and a couple of years ago, I think it was Memphis who was in this spot, who wins a bunch of games and then they don't get in. It's completely unfair. I say strip the conferences out. Just go 1 to 30, and then take the top 60. Can you imagine an NBA Finals between the Golden State Warriors and the Oklahoma City Thunder? I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, but that would require Golden State to actually do something. And again, we'll talk about the Warriors here in just a second. But let's shift our focus entirely to the West. And I've been overly impressed with the Nuggets. Just in the Bruce Brown and Cam Johnson additions on day one, and then the trade for Jonas Valanciunas we talked about yesterday. They also acquired Tim Hardaway Jr. on a 1-year deal. This Denver team is doing the opposite of what Milwaukee's doing. And granted, Milwaukee was in kind of a worse position, but we talked about it yesterday off the top, Mac, with the Panthers, and it only works when everybody takes less to make it work.
Yeah.
And we talk about these moves. I've mentioned a couple of times when the Rangers had the option of sending a pick in this year's first round or in next year's first round, they decided to send this year's first, and how strategic that is. Also, the trade that they made with Carolina yesterday, which we'll get to, and we mentioned it a little bit yesterday with Condre Miller and the pick that comes back to them. So now the New York Rangers have 2 picks. A year ago, Aaron Gordon could have, taken the Supermax to the 9s, and the Lakers are now dealing with this same situation with 2 of their guys. Gordon's decision a year ago allowed the Nuggets to, make the steps that they're making this year. The Nuggets are doing everything they have to do to make sure their big man and the center of their team goes nowhere when his extension comes up, which is the polar opposite of what Milwaukee is doing. Again, they're not the exact same scenario. Milwaukee is taking a massive risk with what they did, and Denver's going, we are not letting the best basketball player on the planet. I know what you're going to say out there in SGA land. I get it. He made another unselfish move yesterday with the timing of his extension as well. That'll help the Thunder. The Nuggets are doing everything they can to make sure the Joker never leaves Denver other than to go to Serbia and his horses in the offseason.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's one of the things, if there was a criticism of the Denver Nuggets over the last couple of years, it's been their bench. That they didn't have the depth. They had, the starting lineup to compete in the West. Obviously, we know that, winning a championship, but they didn't seem to have the depth. And that's one of the things that they kind of worked on in now this offseason is now they've gotten some veterans that they started to acquire some depth. And that's what they needed. Again, you made this point yesterday, and I think we kind of didn't talk enough about it. I mean, they were 1 game away from winning that series. And it could have been the Denver Nuggets in that series. So they're not far away. You one thing you want to always try to do, obviously in the offseason, is to fill a weakness, and I feel as though Denver has done that by strengthening their bench.
Yeah, and one of the things we've seen in this free agency period, at least from the NBA version of it, is the restricted free agent market has been absolutely horrible. It's probably one of the worst I can remember in a long time. Hence, one of the bigger names involved in it right now is still holding his own team hostage in Jonathan Kuminga. The teams that have the control don't want to play ball here, and I think that's really kind of shaped a lot of what we've seen. And I'm going to skip the Lakers because they're going to come up here in a couple of minutes. I'm going to skip the Pistons, and I'm going to jump right to the Warriors here. Don't just sit there and do nothing is something you could say about the Golden State Warriors team, but I think Warriors fans also need to cool their jets a little bit. The Warriors were not going to make a massive splash in this free agency period because they made their big move at the deadline in acquiring Jimmy Butler. And I very much can see the Warriors doing the same thing. Now, how the Kuminga thing plays out really impacts that in what they can move in that deadline deal next year. A full season of a healthy Steph Curry, a healthy Jimmy Butler, and a healthy Draymond Green is still a team that's going to be in the mix in the West. And you saw what the Warriors were after they acquired Jimmy Butler last year. This Kuminga thing is fascinating to me in how it plays out. And again, I mean, if Bob Myers was going to leave, they could have brought me in last year when I was screaming from the rooftops, trade him now instead of being in this position. So Kuminga's left with like 3 options here. Bet on himself and become an unrestricted free agent next year, re-sign with a team that he knows doesn't really want him, or hope that there's a sign and trade and there actually is somebody that wants him. This Warriors situation is fascinating, but also not surprising at the same time.
No, and I loved the deal that they made at the deadline for Jimmy Butler. I thought that said a lot about what they were kind of how they were trying to play this thing out, because let's be honest, this team is not young. And they've probably got a few more runs at it. But the Kuminga situation is just like it's one of those things where it's just do something. do something, Kuminga. Decide what you want to do. But yeah, the RFAs here are not great, are they?
No, and the interesting thing is in both hockey and in hoops, guys, we expected the market for centers to be a lot of money flying around everywhere and real rich. And in hockey, a lot of those centers didn't leave where they were playing last year. And in the NBA, it's kind of stalled out a little bit here because the good ones are gone and you're left with a couple of teams. And I know we're going to talk about one of them in a second here in a roundabout way. I've already kind of mentioned the two teams that have really caught my eye in Denver and Milwaukee and how similar but completely opposite directions those two are going, guys. So I'll start in the middle with Mac. Give me the one team that you're kind of that has opened your eyes in a good or bad way during this free agency period.
You know, the team that was really, really exciting, you know, come playoff time last year was the Detroit Pistons. And I really thought that they would do. I mean, we have said it now, you know, a lot. The East is up for grabs. You know, where does Detroit kind of slide in the rotation now of the East? And I expected them to be a little more active. You know, they really haven't. I mean, I know they just signed Duncan Robinson. I mean, that's going to help, but they lost Schrader, who brought, I mean, you can kind of joke about him a little bit, but he brought a veteran presence that team desperately needed. And I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little down on the Detroit Pistons because I mean, you want to make that next step. Have they done enough to make that next step? I don't think so.
I actually disagree with you. I think they have. Bringing Karis LeVert in, re-signing Paul Reed, and I love the Duncan Robinson move because I think Duncan Robinson is equal to what they lost in Tim Hardaway. And again, as I said yesterday, congrats to Dennis Schroeder for actually signing a big contract that was offered to him. The more you go around, the more it comes back around. Feel free to comment along on what your team has done or not done in free agency. And the best ones will get up on the show if the right people push the right buttons. But I think the thing that skews Detroit's presence right here is there's still a great misunderstanding of how great Cade Cunningham is. And we saw it last year. And I think Detroit's plan has been simple. It's build around Cade Cunningham. And I think they've done enough, especially in the landscape of the East. And we talked about this yesterday. And I know TJ is probably going to talk about another team in the East. But when we kind of ranked everybody and where they were as far as the Eastern Conference went, you know, Cleveland, but I don't know if anybody necessarily fears Cleveland. We don't know what we're getting from Indy. We don't know what we're getting from Boston. Miami is still asleep at the wheel. Maybe that's a spot for Jonathan Kuminga. We've talked about the Bulls having a lack of direction for seemingly the last 7 years. They're also a spot for Jonathan Kuminga. You know, and I think that Detroit, along with and the Knicks, who now have a head coach, which is always an important part of the process. I mean, takes a little while sometimes, but it's an important part of the process. I think Detroit's primed to be in a position to keep going forward. And we've talked a lot.
Do you think they'll be in the top 4 in the East?
I think right now, when you look at the layout of the East, I don't, because I'm not sold on Orlando. I wasn't sold on Orlando last year. I think the Hawks are definitely a top 4 team in the East. I think the Knicks are a top 4 team in the East. I think Cleveland's a top 4 team in the East. And then you've got Detroit, Orlando, you know, and I mean, that just shows you right there. There's the East. Like, I mean, that's where I'm running out of names. So I think out of default, Detroit is if they can duplicate what they did last year. Since we're already talking about the East, TJ, the team that's kind of opened your eyes for good or bad reasons in the East.
Well, I heard somebody on one of the New York stations yesterday talking about the potential of LeBron James going to the Knicks. And I was kind of intrigued because this was talked about several years ago as well. But the difference was, and the guy that I heard talking about it made this point, and I started thinking about it. I'm like, dude, it makes total sense. Is at the time the Knicks weren't ready to win. But now you have a team coming off an an impressive run in the playoffs. Could a veteran player, and look, I'm no fan of LeBron. I think that I think that your team is better off if you stay away from him. I think he's got ulterior motives. I think he's a narcissist. I think he just loves attention. But could that be the player that helps, especially with Mike Brown coming in now, that helps that team over the top into the Eastern Conference, in the Eastern Conference?
I'm not agreeing with you, so like telepathically here. Those things that you're hearing is a radio veteran that forgets to put his phone on silent. But yeah, I mean, the LeBron thing is interesting. The first time in his career that he's going into a season with no remaining years on his contract, and the whole mess in Los Angeles is really kind of an interesting dichotomy right now, because on August 2nd, Luka can sign a 4-year, $222 million extension, or he could be a free agent going into 2026. Austin Reeves, another one of those guys that had a decision to make, a personal business decision to make, could sign right now an extension for 4 years and 89. If he waits till next year, 5 years and 240. Now, there's been some chatter, whether there's any truth to that guys don't like playing with Luka because of the way that the offense has to run through Luka. Again, we're not in the room, so we don't know the truth or the untruth to that, if you will. But what Los Angeles has, Mac, and we talked about this yesterday, is they have 177 guys that can shoot from the perimeter. And out of those 177 guys that can shoot from the perimeter, none of them can defend the perimeter. This is a team full of wings that's now desperately trying to acquire a center. And I think, again, and as much as I hate this, and at least there's Giannis in the offseason kind of play off of this, we're going to have an offseason that's kind of dominated every single day until the Cowboys start on a certain network of what's LeBron going to do. And I think it's very telling. And I think Rob Pelinka is under the most pressure in the entire world right now to make something of this roster. And if you're going to build around Luka, you might as well make the move now. But again, if you're the team on the receiving end, Mac, what are you going to give up for LeBron? I don't know what that number is, and we don't really know because of the stage of his career that he's in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Lakers are in a spot, they wait for 2026, 2027? I mean, there's a lot of questions with this Lakers team right now. It's a very, very confusing team. I mean, there's no way you're going to tell me, constructed as they are right now, that this team is going to compete anywhere in that Western Conference. It's just not going to happen. And so, and LeBron has to know that. I mean, he knows that going in. I mean, how are you going to play that season out? I mean, take what TJ said, you go to the Knicks. I mean, if you think that's a better move, but I mean, I don't know what is the value? It's weird to think, but what is the value of a LeBron James at this point in his career? And if you're the Knicks, like you said, what can you give for him? I mean, gosh, I don't know.
Second round draft pick in 2029.
The Knicks are going to be in an unusual spot next year because the Knicks are now 9 deep, which is crazy to think about. I mean, Brunson Hart, Cat Bridges, OG McBride, Mitchell Robinson, Yabusele, and now Jordan Clarkson. And the Jordan Clarkson thing is kind of flying under the radar too. The Knicks didn't have a second guy that could create his own offense outside of Jalen Brunson. They had very good complementary pieces, and now they have that guy with Clarkson. And the Mike Brown factor, I mean, if you're a Knicks fan today, I mean, hell, Knicks fans are probably throwing a parade today too. But, if you're a Knicks fan today, you got to be jacked. Mike Brown is a hell of a coach that I don't think gets the credit that he deserves for what he's accomplished, not only as an assistant, but as a head coach as well. We're going to have plenty of time to talk about so many more things that are going to happen in between now and the next time we're on the air in this form next Tuesday. I'll have some thoughts tomorrow morning on our social channels at Mike Arana Show. But, Mac, there's plenty of baseball going on right now. Why don't you take us around the horn in what's going on in the big leagues at this current juncture as we speak?
Absolutely. It got kicked off noon Eastern time. The Tampa Bay Rays and the, well, Athletics did a little bit of battle. Balls were flying out all over the place, all kinds of home runs. Brent Rooker, home run in the first. The Max Schumann with a home run. But listen, it wasn't enough. Tampa Bay got themselves 3 home runs as well, including a 2-run home run by Yandy Diaz. They closed that one out already, 6-5.
Yeah,
Quite
big
an
win.
interesting matchup. Again, those two.
Go
I
ahead,
say
Mac.
the two teams battling it out, as we said all year on AAA stadiums. Interesting, I've noticed Tampa Bay, a lot of early afternoon starts. Again, I'm thinking because you want to avoid the rainouts.
Yeah, absolutely. And in a game that they had to win, they were facing a sweep. As hot as the Rays have been, facing a sweep against the Athletics, get a much needed victory there. Keep us around the horn there, Mac.
Absolutely. Hey, can you believe this? 6 in a row. Raise the Jolly Roger, baby. 6 wins in a row for the Buccos. Can you believe it? And Paul Skeens didn't even get that win last night. Another no decision for Skeens. But Mitch Keller, his 2nd win in a row. He was 1-10 going into his last start. He's now won 2 in a row. He's now 3-10. They shut out the Cardinals 5-0. They beat Sonny Gray today. So a 5-0 win. That's obviously part 1 of a doubleheader today.
Yeah, and
Now,
rain dominated the schedule yesterday, and T, you've been gone for a little bit here. Are you a Bucco believer? The Pirates are red hot right now.
I'm kind of like that guy who fell out of the stands as far as believing in the Bucks right now. Like I don't think so. I'm selling Pittsburgh. I can't. I just can't with them right now. They need to be very impressive in July going up to the deadline. I mean, 6 in a row is nice, but you're still way off the pace right now. I don't know. This is a hot streak, and as soon as the Steelers start grabbing attention, they'll flutter off into oblivion as they usually do.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep taking us around quickly here.
Bottom of the 7th, the Phillies with the 5 spot early in that game. They knocked out Mick Abel. Pavetta looking pretty good. 6-1, bottom of the 7th. Padres and Phillies. Top of the 7th, the Mets giving up a grand slam. It was, I got to check, Joey Ortiz, grand slam. The Mets, who are going to play the Yankees here on the 4th, trailing 6-2 in that one. The Red Sox, they gave up a home run. That game, it was part of the suspended rain game last night, trailing the Reds 3-2 in the bottom of the 6th. And I want to talk about this team. I know I've been on them all year, but I've never seen a team have momentum from one year and bring it into the next more than I have the Detroit Tigers. This team, 6 runs in the first inning. Riley Green, I am going out and I'm buying a Riley Green shirt. I'm starting to back Riley Green for MVP. 2 home runs today. Spencer Torkelson a home run. This Detroit, listen, they're up. They're up 12, going to 13 games. It's over. You always say I'm the death of teams. I'm telling you right now, Sharpie those bad boys in. They're in the playoffs. The Tigers, put them in the World Series.
If they buy tickets, no, they're not going to make it. I promise you, they won't.
TJ, we talked about this yesterday. I took a hefty investment, and in Mac's fantasy world, Riley Green's the MVP. But at plus 10,000. At this current juncture of the season, would you take the bet that I took on Tarek Skubal to be the American League MVP?
100%. I would. That's great value, and Skubal's having such a fantastic season. Like Max said, like the Tigers ended that last season on just an absolute heater, and they're just not stopping. They are mowing down the AL Central like it doesn't even exist. So, yes, I would take that bet in a second.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. 4th of July, real quick, coming up. Obviously, a
All right.
time that we often think about baseball. And I wanted to go around and pop around the room here. What's a series that you have your eye on over the 4th of July weekend? I will get us started because I could not wait for this one. When I saw the schedule come out this year, you're going to wonder as of why. And I want to fully immerse myself in the fan experience that is being a White Sox or Rockies fan. As the White Sox visit Coors Canaveral for 4th of July weekend, I will be betting Andrew Benintendi homers all weekend because I think he's the only guy outside of Luis Robert that I actually know on the White Sox anymore. But that's the series I've got my eye on. Mac, give me a series that you've locked your eyeballs on for 4th of July weekend.
Well, I would love to say that it to be the Subway Series, but I got a better one. How about this? The Houston Astros, who won every single series they played in the month of June and continue to play just absolute great baseball, are going to go to the Dodgers. It could be a World Series matchup, right? If the Tigers can, maybe it's going to be Houston. Right? Maybe that could be, but this is a great matchup. Houston playing really well. The Dodgers always playing well. I love that matchup on the 4th of July.
Yeah, I think you're wrong on both accounts here. And as we come close to the All-Star game here, we're a couple of weeks away from revisiting our preseason predictions for baseball. Which, yeah, they're not pretty, and kind of resetting our predictions as we go into the second half of the season here. TJ, there's a hat on your head. Does it involve what you're paying attention to on 4th of July weekend?
I'm looking at the no. I'm looking at the Padres and the Rangers because it's two teams that have that are at a point in the season where they need to decide what they're doing. The Padres are always that team, that sexy team that everybody's like, oh, yeah, this is going to be their year. And then they'll beat the Dodgers in the playoffs, and then they just flame out. They're 8 games out of first, but they're in a solid position to make the postseason right now. But this Padres team has been too inconsistent for me to get behind. Then you got the Rangers, who are a couple years removed from a title, and I don't know what the hell has happened there. So
Right.
They need some momentum going into July. It's two teams that from at the beginning of the season, I expected both of them to make a run at the playoffs, and now it's almost like it's judgment time for both of those clubs. So that's what I'll be watching, because I'm sure I won't be able to watch the Angels because they'll probably be blacked out.
All right, Vegas Mac, it is Wednesday. That means it is time for you to lead our game of the show today before we talk some puck.
All right, Mike, I'm going to give you the first one, and I got a big one for TJ, and I'll come back to you in a second. But listen, here's our first one today. Who will have more RBIs? Will it be Rafael Devers, or will it be Gino Suarez? Which one are you going for? More RBIs today.
That's an easy one. The guy who doesn't play for the Giants right now, who couldn't score with a fistful of 50s on 4th Street.
All right.
Gino Suarez.
I'm going to come back to you in a second, Mike. But TJ, you weren't here yesterday, and we were disappointed because it was Canada Day. So I have a quiz for you today. How much of a Canadian are you, TJ? Are you ready? Here we go.
Ready.
Question number 1. All right. What Canadian city is considered Hollywood North?
That would be Toronto.
Oh, that's what most people think, TJ, but the correct answer is Vancouver. But listen, we still got a lot of questions here for you. So here we go. Question number 2. How many points does the maple leaf on the flag have?
The maple leaf on the flag has 9 points.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's incorrect. It's 11 points. All right. Now, we know you're a true Canadian because you're going to get these next 3. I can feel it. Which Canadian chain opened in Hamilton in 1964?
Timmy Ho-Ho's.
Yeah, there we go. We got you on the board. Here we go. Question number 4. There are 2 sports in Canada that are considered the national sports. We all know that hockey is one, but what's the other one?
Lacrosse.
Yes. Oh, TJ's on a roll. Okay, this
Rip
is
and
it.
roll.
Last question for you, TJ. Are you really a Canadian? 80% of the world's supply of what comes out of Canada?
Maple syrup.
Bullshit.
Yeah, we knew it. We knew you were a true Canadian. All right. Yes.
A true
All right.
a true Canadian born in the province of Henderson County.
All right, Mike, I got a scenario for you, and then I
Oh,
got a
God.
question. Here's the scenario.
Do
I'm
I need
putting
to
you in.
contact my insurance agent?
No, here you go. You could either have a 10-foot putt at Augusta to win the Masters, or a free throw in Game 7 to win for the Warriors. Which are you going to take?
Ooh.
I'm going to take the 10-foot putt at Augusta because that bag is going to be more than the Warriors would ever give me.
All right. I got one last one for you today. This is a tough one. Which number is going to be higher? The number of runs the San Francisco Giants score, or
The
the
other
number
one.
of rainouts in Major League Baseball?
Today?
Yeah.
I know better than to do this. I know better than to do this. I know better than to do this.
Stumped
But,
him.
well, you did, because I was asked by a great friend of mine yesterday, do you like the over tonight? And I said, you know what? If there's one game that I really like the Giants in this series, it was last night. Yep, that was damn wrong. I am going to go with the Giants over the runs, and here's why. I don't think there's going to be 2 rainouts in Major League Baseball today, and the Giants are solid for 2 runs. I mean, that's a powerful offense there. They are solid for 2 runs. So I think they get 2 runs off of Merrill Kelly tonight.
That's all I got for you. I'm just,
Ladies and gentlemen, Vegas, Mac.
okay. Always.
All right. Let's talk some puck. And
Hey,
in
by the way,
community-
Red
Go
Sox
ahead.
tied it up. I got to throw that in there. Red Sox tied it up 3-3.
Let me know when the game gets to 10 runs, since I'm still hanging on that from last night. Speaking of rain. All right.
Doesn't look good.
It's been a couple of days, and in communicating with TJ when he was on his way back from the NYC after not getting the New York Knicks head coaching job, apparently there's another Tim Horton fan there. And speaking of Mackenzie's, shout out to Bob McKenzie of TSN, who announced his retirement yesterday. Staple in the hockey world. So plenty of Tim Hortons mornings for Mr.
Bobby
McKenzie.
Margarita.
Bobby Margarita now too. I started
should
the
take
show
his
and I
spot.
said,
I won't have to change any of the graphics.
stop. I started the show and I said, where the hell is the Nick Ehlers deal? And in communicating with TJ on his way back from New York City, you know, I knew he had a rough go of it. And I said, hey, if you want to take tomorrow off and join us back on Tuesday, that's fine. I get it. I've been through travel hell. And he said, oh no, I've got some pucking things to talk about. So TJ, since you missed the opening of free agency,
yes.
Period started in Puckland.
Well, my understanding is we will get an Ehlers decision sometime today or tomorrow. And to be honest, he's doing the Mitch Marner World Tour that was supposed to happen but never did. So Ehlers is the top guy right now. And but the thing about Ehlers is he had some injury problems last year, which obviously lowered his production. But in the playoffs, he played a huge role. He's one of those guys that is, I don't want to say he's a glue guy. He's very important to the Winnipeg Jets. The question is, would he be of more value and fit in better with another team? I think he's going to stay in Winnipeg, to be honest.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting thing to follow there, because when you look at the names that are still available, and we're going to go through the news and notes of yesterday. But when you look at the names that are still available, I think Ehlers, without a doubt, is at the top of that list. I talked about the team that was going to overpay for Michael Granlund, and we have our answer now, and it's the Anaheim Ducks, 3 years and $21 million for Granlund. Again, the overhaul of the Ducks under Joel Quenneville's leadership behind the bench now. And the center market, again, guys, we talked about this week. It was supposed to be great. It was supposed to be a lot of money out there for centers. And I'm not saying that the centers that stayed where they were didn't get paid handsomely, but when Bennett, Duchesne, Nelson, and Tavares all stay in their places, it just enhanced the fact that Michael Granlund was going to get more money, and he got it from the Ducks.
Yeah, somebody was going to overpay for him. And look, I mean, I'm not going to throw shade at him. He had a great season last year, but it makes me wonder what are these Ducks? What are they doing? You've got a bunch of guys on this roster just going down it. Michael Granlund's 33, Chris Kreider's 34, Alex Killorn 35, Vetrano 31, Ryan Strome 31. So you've got these older players. Radko Gudas 35, Jacob Trouba 31. I'm not saying that they're not still going to be effective, but it's obvious that Quenneville wants a veteran presence with the Ducks to shepherd players like Gauthier along. But I mean, eventually you got to bring in younger players. So I know they got Mason McTavish that they got to sign to a deal before he gets into camp. He's 22. Gauthier's 21. Carlson's 20. He's going to be up for a deal next year. Gauthier's going to be up for a deal next year. So this move by the Ducks is kind of confounding to me because I don't know what the end game here is. I think what's going to wind up happening is I think they're going to put Granlund at the wing, because they're going to have they'll go with Gauthier, or they'll go with Gauthier and Carlson and Strome, and then that other one is either going to go to Poling if he can make the team, or they could put Granlund there. But are you going to pay $7 million for a fourth line center? I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. You know what the interesting thing is, Mac, the dichotomy with the Ducks is you've got the guys that can sit at the bar after a game and the guys who are not allowed to sit at the bar after the game. And it's a very interesting mix there. And I think if you're a Ducks fan, you got to be excited.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I was talking about. I'm like, the Ducks feel as though they need to make kind of that next big step and need to get to the playoffs. Like, this has to be a playoff year for them. And so I think that's why you see them doing exactly what they're doing. They've got a good young core. They're going to bring in those veterans. They've got that coach that, again, like you said, TJ wants that veteran presence. But this is a team that desperately wants to get into the playoffs again.
A couple other news and notes from yesterday. Nate Schmidt, Brandon Tanev, and Vitek Vanacek all have taken their talents to the great state of Utah as the Mammoths stay busy and make some moves yesterday. Obviously, the headliner, anytime you can bring in two guys with Cup experience from Florida, that's great. But Nate Schmidt is the big one there. 3 years, $10.5 million. He is 33 years old, but 12 points in the Stanley Cup final run, or in the Stanley Cup playoff run. Two guys that have been to the hall of the postseason to help a Utah team that has not been able to spell postseason in quite a while.
Yeah, I love the depth moves that they're making here. Now, Schmidt's going to slot right in on the left side this year. He'll be in the top four easily. I like the move of signing Vanacek because it's more like an insurance policy for them. Remember, Connor Ingram went into player assistance last year and was there for the remainder of the season, so they had to rely on Vejmelka for the bulk of the work. And Villalta's nice, but he's an AHL goalie. Let's just face it. So this is kind of an insurance policy for Utah if Ingram is not able to come back right away. And it's a great insurance policy. There's no shade toward Vanacek. He's a great goalie. I like the move of signing Brandon Tanev. I think he's a depth forward who brings experience and he brings grit to a team that, other than Liam O'Brien, with the loss of Kesselring, doesn't have as much grit as they would like.
Yeah, and Mac, have they done enough in Utah, since you're still an NHL fan free agent, to make you... I freaking had a superlative in my mind and I forgot it. Are you on Team Mammoth yet, Mac?
No, I cannot be on Team Mammoth. That is a no. Like there's bad feeling for Mammoth in this house. Not a fan. Unfortunately, because it hurts. I mean, all those years you pour into it, just it hurts. So anyway, no, but I mean, I like what they're doing. I mean, that's a team that desperately again wants to get to the playoffs. But I'm happy with. I'm leaning towards Carolina. I'm almost ready to make a decision. I think Carolina might be it.
Oh, thanks, LeBron. You almost had me bust into a Michael Stipe moment there. One of the more active teams yesterday, and not surprising, guys, and they're forgotten about because they could be at the top of the draft. Which, if they're at the top of next year's draft, I'm going to be perfectly fine with that. The San Jose Sharks, John Klingberg, Alex Niklovich, Philip Kurashev, and William Eklund. Eklund re-signs, but Klingberg comes over from Edmonton, 1 year, $4 million deal for the 32-year-old. Neklovich, a goalie goal against Buffalo, so that's got to make you excited there. And obviously, that's going to be a timeshare with what Sharks fans are hoping the future of the Sharks is. And Askarov at goal. I mean, again, we talk about the core of this team, and Askarov is the old guy on the young core of this team at 23, but Mike Grier has to spend to that floor, and yesterday he made a couple of swings to kind of move San Jose closer to the floor.
Well, I love the signing of Klingberg, to be honest with you. He comes in, he's relatively cheap at $4 million. He's a veteran guy. He's got playoff experience. He's going to be one of those guys that Grier looks to bring these young defensemen into the fold with the Sharks. But here's the other thing, too. Sharks have no defensemen signed after this year. So they're going to have to evaluate and decide if they're going to extend anybody and what they're going to do for next season. Grier's done a great job of reloading this roster into what he wants, retooling it. He's got a good mix of young kids and a couple of veterans like Tyler Toffoli. I really like that. And Wemberg, he's a great player. But this team is I think they've graduated from the 2 years away from being 2 years away category. And I think they're just 2 years away at this point. So I love watching what Grier is doing in remaking this franchise.
Yeah, and my guy Mook Badulin's got a lot to prove this year because he is one of those defensemen that you're talking about that doesn't have a direct future there. Matt, it's always interesting when we talk about these young teams and they're in the rebuild process, and I think you can directly compare San Jose and Chicago on a linear path here, and it sure as hell looks like San Jose is got a leg up on Chicago that had like a whole year head start on them, at least at this point.
Yeah, Chicago seems like they've just kind of stalled out a little bit. I'm still a little befuddled with the Blackhawks off season again whatsoever. So it's again, I agree with you. I mean, I think San Jose has taken the steps to fortify their roster a little bit. They're in much better shape than Chicago is.
Two big names we'll get to here in a second. Go ahead, T.
Well, I think Chicago had delusions of grandeur when they got Bedard. They thought they were going to be better than they were, so they brought in a bunch of veterans to help out, and it, like you said, it just didn't work out for them. So so you're right. They're behind, but there's another team that's going to look. If they're talking extension with Bedard right now, but if I'm Bedard, I'm like, show me something. You've given me chicken crap to work with for the last 3 seasons. You better bring in some other players, and I think they're gonna work on that.
Yeah, some big names of note. Ryan McLeod, he stays in Buffalo. 4-20 for the 25-year-old, was a restricted free agent. Isaac Lundstrom from Anaheim to Columbus, so Columbus makes another move. That was 2 at 2.6 AAV. The two big things that happened yesterday, and I'll start in the middle since it looks like you're leaning towards Raleighwood, Mac, Logan Stankoven. And this happened right after we got done yesterday. 8 years, $6 million AAV to stay in Carolina for a team that is desperately trying to figure out how the hell do we get past the Eastern Conference Finals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good move. I mean, you always want to lock up your young guys, and that's exactly what they did. I mean, it's a good move. They also made the trade with the Rangers yesterday to get Keandre Miller. I think that's another good move that definitely helps their defense out a lot. So, I mean, um, Carolina, again, a lot of capital to use, a lot of money to use. I mean, they have a lot of people, signed up. I mean, they're in good shape. The big question is, is it enough, to get through the Panthers? I don't know if it's enough yet to get through the Panthers. They really, the one thing that we're really looking for, and again, you talked about, is they really wanted a center. That's what they really, really wanted. And that was something that I mean, they put all those shots on goal, but they just really needed that, if you will, that sniper kind of guy. And they haven't got him yet, but you never know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got a couple questions as we finish up hockey here, as far as the transaction goes, and then we're gonna kind of revisit the draft here in a second. But Victor Arvidsson traded to Boston for a 2027 pick. Boston is paying all of Arvidsson's $4 million. Number one, have you spoken to the general since the collapse of the Oilers? And does the general have any thoughts on the Oilers and how they go forward with? And I really need people, and we mentioned this yesterday, if you're Edmonton and your people around Edmonton, and I don't think this is coming from Edmonton, but please don't refer to your four as the core four, because sources tell us that doesn't lead to success when it comes to Stanley Cups. I'm just saying.
I did text the general when I was in New York City on Saturday night. I texted him and asked him what he thought was going to happen. And he's replied with a simple photo of 7 cases of Molson Canadian going into his house. And so I'm thinking that probably next Saturday, I will roust him again and see if he's in a talking mood.
That's fair. That's fair. What have you made of the Oilers so far, T? And again, this could be, maybe the general's giving you some indications, but the Oilers are in an interesting spot. We talked about the Evan Bouchard situation, a $10.5 million. Make of that what you will. But again, we didn't get a chance to ask you this yesterday. Mac and I discussed it. Oilers are in an interesting spot here.
The Oilers are in a very interesting spot. So they added Mangiapane yesterday, which another depth move. Another guy who can supposedly put the puck in the net. He had a good season for Washington, but as you said, don't call him the core forward because you're not going to be able to win time. They need to rebuild their depth now. They've lost Perry, which as much as we joke about Corey Perry, had an outstanding Stanley Cup playoff. He as Chicken Parm Ray Ferraro said, Corey Perry made a living in the Stanley Cup playoff of doing more with less. And I can 100% agree with him, because it always seemed like Perry was in the right spot at the right time. And if it wasn't for Perry after the injury to Zach Hyman, like that would have been over in 3 games instead of 6. So, but they've got to rebuild the depth now. And it's one of those things where if you would have signed Dylan Holloway and you would have signed Philip Broberg a couple seasons ago when you had the opportunity, this would be less of an issue now. I liked the addition by subtraction of getting them to unload Arvidsson, because he was pretty much ineffective in his year in Edmonton. So, but now they're in a position where they have to get second tier free agents to come there. So we'll see what they can do.
Yeah, a lot of fallout, guys, from the NHL draft. And as always, this show is decentralized. Centralized versus decentralized in the NHL draft is a huge topic right now. And it's funny because a lot of people are saying the way that they're doing it now sucks. But I want people, and we'll go around the horn here, and I'll start with you, Mac, but I want people to understand that the reason that the draft is this way is because the majority of the NHL teams chose to have it this way. And that's something that we really, really need to keep in mind here, that this wasn't Gary Bettman just saying, hey, let's do this. This was left up to the teams. And, I think anytime you bring celebrities in to make picks, it's fine if they're on site it's the connecting to them. And we all know about connection issues on this show. We've dealt with them several times, still trying to work some of them out. Anytime you do that, it's going to slow your process. I don't have a problem with the way the draft is constructed, and I don't have a problem if they go forward with it. I think when you start this process with the draft at the Sphere, everything else is not going to look as impressive. And that maybe is some of the issue here. But Mac, I don't have a problem with it. Do you?
No, I mean, like I said, the draft is kind of funky anyway. I mean, the people get called up. You see them, they shake their hands, they go somewhere. I mean, why do all those teams need to be there? I mean, I've never really understood that. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So, I mean, it's just like just make it what it is. Make it, and whatever your sport is, like a fan fest kind of a thing, because that's really all it is. I mean, some of the players can be there, they cannot, whatever the case may be, but it doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't make or break what the draft is. I mean, like I said, the draft is one of those things for me. You just listen to, and it's kind of fun to see where they go. But other than that, it doesn't matter.
But the coolest thing about the NHL draft has always been the floor area with all the teams there trying to make deals and everybody on their cell phones and being able to see the quote war room activities as they happened. That was the coolest thing about the NHL draft. And this year was okay, but I missed that. And I love seeing and one of the reasons that they said to go decentralized was they're like, well, we can't above all the din of the crowd. Well, you got people attending your draft. Like you selling tickets at $60 a pop to go to the Sphere and watch the draft. Okay. Well, so people are interested. It's entertainment. But one of the reasons was, we can't hear to make deals on the, there were 2 deals on the floor this year, 2. So that's bull crap because you're not making deals anyway. So I think they got to go back to, I think they can stand out from the 4 sports by having a centralized draft because nobody else does it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get to, there's going to be plenty of more fallout, plenty of more stuff. We haven't even talked about this. We'll talk about it on Tuesday in Dallas, meet the new coach, same as the old coach. It'll be interesting to see how that thing goes. Now, T, we had a debate while you were gone. I know this is not going to shock you, but the guy who makes the end of the show, Liquid Locks, formerly Best Bets, an absolute spectacle every time we do it, decided last week to drop a Canadian Football League pick as one of his Liquid Locks. Should we allow CFL games in Liquid Locks?
Happy Canada Day, a day late.
That's a yes.
Happy Canada Day, a day late. I love the fact that in Canadian football, you can score 1 point in a game. I love this fact. I also love the fact that the goalposts are in the middle of the field. I love this because there's nothing like running a post pattern literally to a post instead of how it is in the NFL. So, yes, I'm all CFL. Go Argos, go Alouettes, go Rough Riders, go other Rough Riders, all of them.
Yeah,
that sounds like a list of the breakfast sandwiches you can order at Tim Hortons. You know who else would be happy with scoring 1 point in a football game, and maybe the CFL is in their path, would be the Carolina Panthers. All right, let's recap yesterday's Liquid Locks. One of my Liquid Locks is still going. Mac, where are we at on my 10 runs for the Red Sox and the Reds?
Doesn't look good. Bottom of the 8th, 3-3 tie.
Son of a bitch. Need a hell of a lot of fireworks.
Yeah, extra innings.
Athletics in Tampa was my other one yesterday, over 8.5. Did not get to that. Mac's first one yesterday was Christopher Sanchez under 5.5 hits. That was rained out literally as we got off the air. And he had Byron Buxton to hit a home run, and that was not something that happened last night. So we were
Edward Cabrera just
0-2 and 2 question marks off of a 9-6 week last week. So let's get moving on our liquid locks here, and I am going to get us started. Jesus, see what you guys did here. Now we're going to get a barrage of these kind of messages, like the one from Billy V.
Right, there we go.
I've got the I've got the Saskatoon Stack Munchers. That's my favorite Canadian football team. All right, liquid locks here. I'll get us started.
Yeah, it sounds like TJ sounds like a road trip to me. Sounds like a road trip.
Yep, you
Go
guys
Lions.
have fun. You guys have fun, and on the Tuesday show the week after that, it'll be like, hey, it's just me here. Where are your other 2 guys? Well, they couldn't cross the border because they were acting a fool. All right. Game 2s is what I'm looking at here for my 2 liquid locks today. Nationals in game number 2 against Magnum PI, Vegas Max, Detroit Tigers. That's my first one, Nationals on the money line. My second one, game 2 as well, is the New York Mets and the Milwaukee Brewers. And Matt, can you tell me the pitching matchup for game number 2 of Mets Brewers today?
Well, you know, that's a possibility. I might be able to do that. Let's see. We've got, yes, Tabita is pitching for the Mets. Tabita. That's TBD. Tabita is pitching for the Mets. And Mizorowski. Yeah.
The Miz.
And the Miz. It's the Miz. It's the Miz. The Miz is pitching. Yes.
Oh,
they're
Miz
done
is
for.
on the mound.
That's it. It's over.
And you're talking about the worst team in baseball since they were the best team in baseball. My second part of liquid locks is Mets and Brewers under 8.5 runs. And you know how much I hate that. But the Miz is awesome, and Tabita is not awesome. All right, so there's my 2. TJ, give us a liquid lock for this hump day, which is also our Friday.
Which is also the day that we're celebrating America's hat. So I'm going north of the border. Yankees, Blue Jays over 8.5. It was 17 yesterday. They played during the day. The Blue Jays wore their red jerseys, and it was incredible. And today they will go back to their regular blue jerseys and still spank the Yankees and combine for over 9 runs.
It's easy to spank a team that goes 2 for 17 with runners in scoring position in their last time out there. The Yanks are in a world of hurt right now. We talked about the 26-game stretch for the Yankees where they play 23 teams with a record over 500. They're 0-2 in that stretch, and the other team is the Braves. So TJ's got over in the Yankees-Jays game. What'd you get that at, 8.5?
8.5.
The Yankees and Jays over 8.5. All right. With bated breath and holding on to my seat, Vegas Mac, liquid locks to finish out the week.
Brought out the shiny blue card today. I'm going down to Colorado. You didn't see that. Right there. Oh, I know it's hard. Got a lot going on. It's your guy, Hunter Brown. I'm going over 6.5 strikeouts tonight in Colorado. That's the first half. The second half, I'm going with another guy who I really like this year. I'm going PCA. He's going to go long tonight. Home run for PCA. Over 6.5 strikeouts for Hunter Brown. I put him in the liquid locks container for good luck.
Downtown Hunter Brown.
Oh, and the Red Sox just scored. They've taken the lead on the Reds. 4-3. Wilyer Abreu with a base hit to bring home somebody who was pinch running. Who was it? Nate Eaton. It doesn't matter. Bottom of the 8th, 4-3. The good guys.
Our guy that's supposed to be on the baseball update desk is already off for the 4th of July. He's sitting in the middle right now. We got a couple minutes here, guys. I wanted to toss a couple of things randomly out at you here. In the month of June, in the AL Central, can you tell me how many teams won more than 10 games?
In the month of June, how many teams in the AL Central won more than 10 games?
I'm going to go with 1.
In the AL, 2.
Max says 2. TJ says 1. TJ is correct. The only team that won more than 10 games in the month of June was the Detroit Tigers. On June 1st, the Guardians were in second place in the AL Central. 8-17 since then. They're still in second place in the AL Central. Like, not only is Detroit really damn good, everybody else in that division has played like absolute ass this year. The Royals, speaking of people that couldn't score on 4th Street with a fistful of 50s, their offense has been completely they make the Giants offense look borderline kind of consistent. I mean, it's consistently shitty, but it's consistent either way. Here's another fun fact for you. Since the Rafi Devers trade, the Boston Red Sox have a better record than the San Francisco Giants. The Giants, who were red hot and now can't hit their way out of a wet paper bag, and they got bashed around the airplane hangar down here in Phoenix yesterday.
Loved what
it's crazy. Though. You know, and it's kind of funny. You talked about the AL Central. So you talked about the AL Central. How about the NL West? We had 3 teams that were within a couple of games of each other just a few weeks ago, and now the Padres are 8 games out. Diamondbacks are 9, or excuse me, the Giants are 9. It's like all of a sudden that division's gone out gone out as well.
T, what were you saying there?
I loved what Buster Posey said in just recently, how he took the heat for putting together the roster. He's like, these are the guys that I put together. So if anybody deserves the heat, it should be me. Stop going to the manager and the players. I'm the one who put this together. It's kind of refreshing to hear that talk from the front office.
Yeah, and he made those. And I know
it's a work in progress, but
yeah, and he made those comments after the extension for Bob Melvin, so he gets another year. And again, I think Rich Aurilia on Sunday said it best on the Giants postgame. There's nothing Melvin can say or do at this point. This is entirely on the players. And this is exactly why I told everybody that was asking me, friends and family from back home, do not expect them to compete this season. Let Buster have a chance to clean out the shit that was left for him by dumbass Zaidi. And then in year 2, you'll really see the Giants take advantage of Buster Posey's presence. I cannot get out of here before we hit 4th of July without asking the Wiener King himself, over or under 71.5 hot dogs for Joey Chestnut, Vegas.
Listen, Joey's back. He said 80. I believe he's going to go 81. Joey's going down 81 big dogs and buns. It's going to be incredible. You don't miss it. Joey's the guy. 81. The other, they don't even show up. He's got it. The mustard belt's going back where it belongs, with Joey.
That's a lot of wieners, too.
In a row. By the way, Red Sox just scored again, 5-3, top of the 9th. You're getting coming in to close it.
You're getting to 10.
This is going to be the longest I've waited to lose 2 units, and I'm going to be pissed. And then I hope they get the shit beat out of them in game number 2, technically, later this evening. All right, later this week, the Wiener King himself will have a little tribute to his man crush, Joey Jaws Chestnut. TJ is going to recap kind of the week that was in NHL free agency, a little 4-part series. I can't do math. Somebody told me there was going to be no math over the course of the next week or so, and really kind of dial in and put a bow on the NHL off season. I'll have some thoughts tomorrow on the fallout from the NBA, anything else that happens, Dave. Mike versus Mac coming up tonight, the John Deere Classic, as I attempt to run down Mac in stage 3 as we head towards the Open Championship. We've got Home Run Derby not that far away, the All-Star Game, a lot of stuff going on. We will revisit our absolute trash picks from the beginning of the season. And before you know it, we'll be doing NFL previews for every single team and previews for the all 4 major conferences. I'm going to see if I can swindle my guys from the Herb and Raj podcast. And if you haven't checked them out, go check them out. They are as dialed in as it comes when it comes to the SEC. So shout out to Herb and Raj. We're going to see if we can do a little cross collab with those guys when we get close to football season. TJ, finally, plans for the 4th of July. What do they entail in the TJ house?
We are just going to be relaxing and not eating 81 wieners in a row like your boy Joey C.
Like our boy
But
Joey
yeah,
C and our boy Vegas Mac.
But no, we're just going to be doing a lot of relaxing right now. Just a lot of relaxing.
Got to get yourself back on Best Coast time. Vegas Mac, what is the plan for 4th of July?
We had a lot. We got a big parade in the morning, splash pad in the afternoon, and then there's a big kind of festival that's down at the high school with fireworks, bands, food, fireworks. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll be out and about all day.
Small Town Mac is something that we might need to create a Wavegate. We might have to talk to our friends at Wavegate Media and get the documentary series on Small Town Mac, because it is something else. I will be drinking a lot of beer, betting on a lot of Andrew Benintendi bombs. And I thought we were going to be swimming, but my old ass can't dig out this backyard fast enough to get our pool back there. So that's going to be a couple of weeks from now. We will be swimming in our backyard by, we'll be swimming by the All-Star game. There's the troublemaker in the house right there. So to everybody behind the scenes, we couldn't do it without you. Thanks for making us look kind of like presentable for a television audience. For everybody out there that's watching, we appreciate the hell out of you. Tell your friends, tag your friends, tell them to follow the Mike Arana Show everywhere but Snapchat, because we're not 12 and Snapchat sucks. We will be back in this form on Tuesday in our regularly scheduled slot, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday next week. Enjoy the 4th of July weekend. And on a Friday night, it can't be any better. And as always, I promised that I will make sure I get this out. Don't JPP yourself. For Vegas Mac and TJ, I'm Mike. We'll talk to you next week.